What's up? Welcome to episode 15 of Domicile, the podcast that explores the subculture of truck drivers as well as logistics professionals, bringing their stories to the masses. I'm your host, Scott Cleary. Now, before I send it over to you, Paul, we've got to call out our first sponsor. Now, we need people to sign up with them in order for them to pay us. But, it's a start. We'll take it. We'll new. But, hey, Purple Squirrel. Sorry, boys. The Ryans over Purple Squirrel. I cannot edit for shit. So this is what you get right now. I guess you have to get an overlay. You got to put it into like Adobe or something like that, make it smaller. Guys, I can't do this. So also, anybody who has a clue, Paul's laughing. I'll tell you why Paul's laughing at it. Anybody who has a clue on how to edit, post-production, anything, please help Purple Squirrel out. Because this stuff makes me, I'm going to say it.
What have you done?
This shit makes me want, it makes my head explode. I downloaded CapCut today just for fun, just to see what it was all about. I know it made my skull melt because I can't I like this. I like talking to our guests, our awesome guests we're gonna have on. Anyways, back to it. Purple Squirrel. They represent freight agents, freight brokerages, and freight forwarding companies. If you'd like to earn more, reduce your liability, and grow your career, you should go have a chat with the Ryans over Purple Squirrel about becoming an independent agent. They don't do W-2s, independent agent. They represent multiple broker and forwarding companies. So that's allowing them to provide you with several career offers. So you have options. Let them advocate on your behalf. Their website is below on this banner. It took me all of 5 seconds to make. I figured that part out. Jeez. purplesquirrel.llc. If you follow the intake form in the comments, if you're on the YouTube page, if you watch this on YouTube, the intake form in the comments, fill it out, start the next step of your career with Purple Squirrel. Anyway, that's Purple Squirrel. I hope they enjoy that.
Hey, I think it's
bad, right?
Yeah, that's not bad. I was impressed. I mean, I'm going to say too, I know a lot of guys that are very successful as agents. So that's an awesome, if you got somebody that'll advocate on your behalf. I mean, it sounds like, they're pretty good folks to have on your side. Because it's hard to navigate that stuff. I mean, we're sales guys. We've hey, you want to take this job? You're like, oh yeah, the OTE's what? Yeah, it's unlimited. Yeah, and it's like, you know what I mean? It would have been great earlier in our careers, I'm sure, to have somebody help. So yeah, you guys should check them out. Run that across the bottom again.
Oh, it's across the bottom again, the little ticker going. Yeah. Purple Squirrel LLC. Intake form is in the comments. We don't get credit if you don't use that intake form. So DM me as well, or Paul. We can get you that info, whatever it might be. But Paul, I know that we've had content going out through last Tuesday, as of now, with Mr. Drake Sliver. But we haven't recorded in a long time because we haven't banked. And we're still trying to get a little more current so that when we talk, there's some congruency in about what's going on. But what's new with you? What's going on with that?
Oh, let's see, man. New year. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Out well. I mean, I see, been very busy over here at Conduit. All your dock and yard needs all in one place. Driver check-in.
Free ad, Conrad.
Absolutely. But one of the things I actually been interested in and seeing is there's a big push, I think, for folks to make a better driver experience at their facilities.
Yeah.
I have had maybe 6 conversations. Well, we're only on the second Tuesday, of the second full week of January. And I mean, I think I've had 8 conversations with prospects that are like, I'm trying to figure out how to make it easier to come to my facility. I don't want people leaving bad reviews. I mean, that means I failed. And I think that's an interesting change from, I think, the last few years of looking at what we're doing from a standpoint of, how do we replace this, right? How do we fix this process? It's really interesting to see people come out of the woodwork saying, I want to make it easier for drivers. So I think that's kind of in line with what we talk about here. But aside from that, on the personal front, we're well rested. Almost bought a sports car. Didn't.
You didn't? Was that the Toyota you're telling me about?
Yeah, I was telling you on the GR86. Yeah.
Why didn't you do it? Stick with
because it's 16 degrees outside and it's snowing. And I was like, driving a little, yeah, I don't think it would have worked out, but one day. But I had a good time with family. my mother got a puppy. I sent you that.
Yes. Oh my God,
Ben. Little Ben.
Cute.
What a little guy.
How big is he gonna get?
I don't know, because I don't know how dachshunds work. I just know that
he's a dachshund.
He's a dachshund. But I will say that he is like, his teeth are like razor blades, and he's constantly trying to figure out something to bite. But he is a big fan of chicken. He is a big chicken guy. Yeah,
good man in the gym.
Yeah, big chicken guy, big chicken breast guy. He seems like a big rice guy too. Maybe he's into some peas, some broccoli. I don't know. Like,
on the herring.
He's good with the macros, man. He's got it down.
But
what about you, man? What are you up to?
So I was checking in with my coach, Britt, at Britt Cedarholm. Anybody needs a fantastic coach. And I was like, I think my life's going to be pretty chill. You know, October through December was nuts. I was in Chicago for work. And Thanksgiving, Emily and Bella came home to visit the family for the first time on the vineyard. A lot of firsts for Bella. So that was crazy. It went great. Again, Chicago for like the Christmas party up there, holiday party up there.
Thanks for inviting me, by the way.
Oh, of course, dude. We had a blast. We had a good time. And then I had to travel. I got to travel to Long Island to visit my sister and see where she works and lives. Yeah. She's out in East Hampton at a pretty fancy schmancy golf course out there. I think I mentioned before. Yeah. And that was great. Frontier Airlines can kick rocks, because that was the most expensive. Yeah, the most expensive one-way flight of my life. So I won't go down the complete rabbit hole here, but the flight was already expensive one way. Then to check a bag over 50 pounds, if a regular check bag under 40 pounds was $74, then I could go on like a 10-minute tirade with this, but I won't.
Yeah, give me the 4-minute tirade.
Yeah, then I was like, well, I might as well pay for over 50 pounds and just pack everything I can, because you're coming home with gifts, right? So my whole family went up. She rented an Airbnb. We were in the Airbnb. It was nice. My brother couldn't make it. That was a bummer. But yeah, so it was $174. So my one-way flight with Frontier, I know. My one-way flight with Frontier was over $500. Plus, I've had so many friggin' bills this last couple months. But I mean, it's all good. I mean, Emily, my girlfriend, she got President's Club second year in a row. She's been at the same company 13 years. Oh. She's hit it about 5 or 6 times. I couldn't go last year, so now I get to go to Mexico end of February. Middle of February, go to Mexico. January, I got to go to Atlanta for a show, SMC3. See you there with the Revenova crew. March, I have a show in Nashville. I'm like, so much for my life being chill, but all good things, my friend. The inflammation's coming down. We lost a few lbs from the inflammation and the travel and all that. So everything's good. I almost tore my head off my own shoulders with the post-production woes, but that's my own personal issue. No, I just need to stop being a wuss.
Yeah, I shout out Trent Sorensen. I just talked to him the other day. It looks like I'll see him at Manifest.
That makes sense.
And then since you're going through it, I just pulled mine up. I'll be at IWLA, CSCMP Edge.
Yeah, it doesn't stop.
It does not stop. Yeah, I mean, from the 10th of February till it looks like the October 8th. I'm rocking and rolling, man.
Dude,
but hey, that's what you get. That's what we sign up for as salespeople. You got to be in the market.
It is. Yeah, you got to get out there, and it's fun. It's fun. We have
absolutely. A good time. Speaking of the gym, Scott, how we, how's how your legs doing?
Legs are okay. Legs are a little sore today. Worked on them hard yesterday. Did chest today. Day off tomorrow, so I'll be finishing the Bruins game after this recording, and staying up a little later than usual. Just enjoying that because I'm up at 5 most days. But I hit the legs hard. Gonna start getting in a little more mobility and flexibility though, because if I had to go, I'm a big guy, I'm a fit guy, but if you told me to do a full out sprint right now, I'd pull a hamstring.
Oh, so, you're hot girl fit. You just it's all muscle and cardio.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. It's not fun. Anyway.
Yeah, but no, hey, I mean, I'll joke. I mean, I called you over the weekend going, we're not realizing that the sled had weight on it.
You were all excited.
Well, because you think like, oh man, I'm putting up 180. It's like, no, dude, you're doing like 245, 260.
245. Yeah, babe.
Dang, look at that, look at it go. But yeah, that was funny. That was a funny phone call, Scott. But yeah,
we had a lot of good ones.
It sounds like we should bring on our guests, chat about our average lives here.
I think because he's sweating in the waiting room, about to hang up on us. So yeah, we'll bring him in. So to that point, everybody, our next guest, he's hailing from Lynn, City of Sin, up in Massachusetts. He's now residing in Florida. We're kind of neighbors, up in the Zephyr Hills area. He spent 13 years off and on as a long-haul driver with a very, dare I say, unique previous profession. I promise we'll see what we can pull out of him in that department. And now he looks forward to literally putting it all in the rear view and finishing up his career behind the wheel, which is he's got experience doing this. But I digress. The Bruins puck drop is already happening. And it's funny, I wrote this like a month ago, but we're still recording on a Bruins game. So their sorry asses are playing right now. I'm sure he wants to catch this in a little bit. So we both want to catch most of this game. Without further ado, welcome to the pod, John McElroy. How we doing? Thanks for your patience, buddy.
What's going on, gentlemen?
How we doing?
We're good,
man. We're doing. I don't know, man. You got to work on your editing skills here.
They're piss poor. They're about as good as.
Oh yeah, you saw that? That was great.
I saw that. That was yeah.
Like
that? I am too. That that's pretty bad. That's bad.
It's the first time I've ever had to do it, so I can do this. I'm good at this.
I got to ask out of the gate, John. Peterbilt.
Good. Always.
Is it so? Yeah, complete outsider here, right?
Okay.
I'm a big Toyota guy, right? Always, Tacomas, right? That's my jam. Is there kind of a fanboy in the driving space around what you're driving, similar, or if not more so, than someone like myself that's like, drive a Tacoma, love the Tacoma, wouldn't drive anything but? Is it kind of the same concept, or is it just more, whatever you drive is what you drive?
Me personally, I love the Peterbilt. It's basically the same concept. When you think about it, you get, you're familiar with the truck, the truck, whether you're doing the 379, 579, whatever.
Yeah.
I've been in Peterbilt a lot. I'm actually switching on my next job. Yeah. I'm going to actually be driving a Mack for a while.
No kidding. Have you driven one before?
It's been a long time. The last time I drove a Mack was an 18-speed. And that was, 15 years ago.
Two gear shifts or one?
One gear shift.
Triple
lever.
How do you manage it?
You just do it. You just know. Yeah, you get used to it. It's like anything else driving, I mean, when you're driving these things and you've driven them long enough, you do get used to it. But people don't realize all the training we have to go through first to get to that point. And, but yeah, to get back to your question, driving a Peterbilt's like you driving your Tacoma.
Yeah.
Once you get in it and you like it and you know all the in and outs and, it's the same principle.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes total sense. So with that in mind, I mean, it sounds like you've driven quite a few different vehicles. You're hauling now.
Right.
What do you haul nowadays? I mean, I know
I've been hauling a lot of reefer.
Really?
And that's what I'm going to be
temp
doing again up north. Huh?
What, temp control?
Yeah, all temp control.
Yeah.
A lot of fresh produce, a lot of frozen produce. I don't know what this new run's because I'm starting a new run up in Omaha, Nebraska in the next couple of days. So
that's where you'll be based out of?
Yeah, I'll be based out of Omaha. I'm going to start running with a gentleman I met a while back, and we've been discussing all this, and he's expanding to the LDS service. So I'm going to start out and help him and see what we can do.
There you go. So when you do something like that, coming from where you are all the way up there, for the folks that don't know anything about it and may have just stumbled across this podcast on one of our LinkedIn's or YouTube, what's that like going, man, I'm leaving Florida. I'm going to go all the way to basically the Pacific Northwest or darn near it. And I'm going to go run routes back and forth there.
Yeah.
Until that's over. I mean, what's that like mentally when you've got to go do that?
Well, being this time of year, a lot of storms, a lot of cold weather. You're away from the wife. It's hard on a marriage. Mentally, it's tough because you're leaving your wife for 3-4 weeks at a time, and it's not easy on her. It's not easy on you. It's you need a big support system. So to go out and do it, it gets mentally fatiguing too. Because the runs I'm looking at are like Omaha to PA to KC, back up, and just do a complete route. So a lot of winter storms, a lot of snow, which I have experience driving in. I've been over Donner Pass. I've been over 70, changed the whole 9 yards. So a lot of guys don't get that experience. So, so I'm fortunate when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah. You mentioned that you had a support system. You said a support system's important. When I think of that, 10 years ago, right, it was just maybe a phone, right? Maybe you had a phone. Now there's so much in different ways.
No, you didn't even have that. You had a payphone.
There you go.
When I was back driving before I got sick, all we had were payphones. We didn't have cell phones or any of this technology.
There you go.
We were running 2-3 logbooks. So nowadays you can't even do that. So, it was a payphone, literally.
Yeah. Yep. So how do you keep a support group nowadays? Just friends, other drivers, other people you know?
Well, yeah, my friends. I talk I have a lot of younger guys out there that are driving that I've made friends with, and they'll call. Like one called me tonight about a weight issue with his truck.
Yeah.
And so I helped him out a little bit. I told him, what he had to do, move the tandems on the trailer forward and this and that. And it got him down close. He's not overweight, but he's over tandem weight. So, but not by much. I think it was 400 pounds. So it's not even worth writing the ticket.
Right.
So, I think
depends on the guy, right?
Yeah, so it depends on the DOT guy, but normally they won't even write it for that. But I think the fine in Florida is like $24 for 400 pounds overweight. Really? So yeah.
Nothing.
So he'll probably get a DOT class 3 inspection out of it, and get a bonus out of it. But come to find out, the weight station was closed and he blew right by, so he didn't get anything.
Hey, so I know you've done a lot in your career, right? You've driven, you've had some other stuff you've done, you're back to driving now. Like, can you take us back to what, you mentioned that you wanted to be a train engineer, you couldn't do that, so driving was the next best thing to you. So take us through the beginning of your career a bit, through today and how you got here.
Oh God.
Wherever you want to
start. Yeah. It's kind of hard because I was doing international personal security along driving a long time ago, off and on, back and forth, doing both. Got out of driving for a little bit, then got back into driving. And then I got mega sick back in 2014 to 2020.
Oh, wow.
And then, but between all that too, doing international search and rescue. I've done it for several groups. The last group I was with was CIRO, which is Canadian International Rescue Organization. And we were in downtown Kyiv at the beginning of the war and this and that. And that changed me a lot. That made me think that, at 54 years old, I can't be running in the combat zones anymore. So it was time to really make a change. So that's when I really come back and got back into trucking again. Was that 30 days in Kyiv.
Okay, so it only took the 30 days, and you were like,
yeah.
That's good.
Well, you add everything else on top of it. I think Kyiv was the icing on the cake.
Okay.
The cherry on the cake, I should say, because of everything else that I've seen and done, and I just wanted to get back to something. But going back to trucking isn't all that simple anymore because it ain't what it used to be.
What's changed?
We didn't have brokers, just the whole thing, ELDs. The overregulation, and everything. Just
deregulate.
It's so
right.
Oh my God, it's so overregulated now.
So when did you stop driving the first time, and then you're just coming back now? So if that much has changed, it must have been a while ago you stopped.
2014 when I got sick. I got sick.
Okay, so it's changed that much.
Yeah, it's changed tremendously Actually, I stopped in 12, but I was still driving a little bit, helping out, friends and stuff. But yeah, 2014 they pulled it. I got that sick. So
What happened?
I blew 2 aneurysms in 7 weeks on my heart.
And you're still here.
And I'm still here by the grace of God.
Well,
and the surgeons up at Mass General.
Yeah, that's gonna be the place you want to go. Shout out Mass General if you want something done. That's the spot.
Yep. So I had to have massive surgeries and open heart and everything else because they happened on my heart. And it took me. I got my regular driver's license back in 20, but it took until 23 to get my CDL back without a waiver.
Gotcha. Okay, so even after you were healed up, it took that much just to get on the road for yourself and professionally again.
Yes. It was, and they made me go back to school again. I had to go through CDL school for a second time.
Oh no!
Was it because of the aneurysms, or because
I got sick and to see if I could do it again? Yeah. Yep. So I've been to school twice for CDL. Once back up in New England at Marina Bay, with the old New England Tractor Trailer Training School, and then I went to 160 down here in Tampa. So yeah, I've had to do it twice just to get.
Wait, you went to drive 160?
Huh?
You went through 160?
Yeah, I went through 160. I did a one and done because I knew everything already. It was
no kidding.
Yeah, I went through there and it was a breeze for me because it was like getting back on a bicycle.
There you go. Yeah,
I mean,
it's funny you say
It took about a week. It took about a week. The only thing I had a problem with was the Florida pre-trip because of my dyslexia.
There you go.
I had to say it a certain way, so I had to memorize it all. But other than that, yeah.
Good to go.
And actually, it was fun, but no, this career has changed so much. It's actually, I look at it, I get sick sometimes. I get so upset because it's changed and it's become so cutthroat. It's not a brotherhood anymore like we were discussing before. It's more like all for one, none for all.
Yeah.
Really?
It's, I met some old timers out there that, they're still old school, but all these foreign drivers, all these 1HP drivers coming in, all these young kids coming up, no manners, no respect, no blinkers, no this, no that. It's just, they're in the fast lane doing 90, pulling 80,000 pounds. Yeah, exactly.
Which is illegal
That's still,
in itself.
Yeah. And
you gotta
in some
wonder
states,
too, like who's pressuring them to hit that, because my thought with this from an outside looking in is always, whenever I see a truck driver driving in a way that makes me uncomfortable, I wonder what a dispatcher said to them or what what the brokerage said, or why are they, what lack of foresight got them to a position where you're driving that fast or driving that unsafe. Because
irresponsible. It's irresponsible.
So you think it's more on the driver? You think it's the driver?
I think it's more on the driver because I think it's more on the driver because of the pressure of the driver to get out there and make the money because the rates have been so low and so shitty.
Money thing. Okay.
I think it's a money thing. It's all about, I think it's all about the money myself because the rates are so low that they're willing to risk their own life and others to compromise for a buck.
Yeah, you wonder if it's safer when the rates are higher, if no one's rushing, if you know what I mean? Because you think like you got all this influx of drivers over the last, 4 years, 3 years, right? Because
it's been horrible.
Everybody wanted to get into it. Everybody's thought, "Oh, go do this," and not for nothing. There's some and I've heard people smarter than me that know this stuff better than me say, "Oh, well, if you run if you run things smart and you think about what you're doing and you make some relationships and you run it the right way, you can make a good living. But if you over leverage yourself and these aren't my words, but I've been told if you over leverage yourself and you buy that real expensive truck and you do this and you do that and those things start to add up and it's the operating cost eats into the profit so much that you're just driving to drive. There's no actual money to it."
Well, the problem is too, the trucks, everything's gotten so expensive. You look at it, tires, PMs, just wear and tear on the vehicles. And then these new trucks that are coming out with all these safety features,
Yeah.
170, 190,
Yep.
you know, and these new safety features are not cut and dry yet. They still act up a lot. Like in the
What do you mean by
Peterbilts, when it rains out, like the active cruise control in the Peterbilt, the radar system goes off. It doesn't work.
When it rains.
When it rains or
So
snows.
no cruise control.
Well, you have cruise, but you don't have the active radar going. So it will automatically, because they uses an active radar, and it tells you the speed ahead, and it slows you down automatically, and et cetera, et cetera. So the technology that's out there is great, but it's not.
It's too new.
It's not. It's too new, and these guys are overriding it. And like I said, they're in the fast lane doing 90 because of you got the trucks costing $200K. We'll just say. I mean, I know some are a little cheaper. And then you got the insurance on that $200K. Then you got the OCC, and then you got cargo, fuel, bobtail, etc. Then the fuel. I mean, granted, right now fuel rates are great. I can't complain about the fuel rates. I mean, a lot of the places with my discount, I'm paying $2.60, $2.70 a gallon. I cannot complain.
Nice.
I'm saving $1 a gallon. So I won't bitch about the fuel, but you add in cost of truck, cost of insurance, cost of bobtail, OCC. Right there's $1,000 a week. Just I think the truck alone's about $1,000 a week, and then you add that on top of it. So you're looking at
like $2,000 a week.
You're looking at about $1,600-1,700 a week just for that.
Just to run the truck.
Just to run the truck. Then you got cargo insurance. Then you got your trailer. So there's another 4 or 5. So you're looking at $2,100 a week just to break even, not counting your fuel.
Yeah, so you wonder now why, I've talked to some folks that really like being company drivers.
But the problem with company drivers is they're only paying, some companies are paying 32 to 38 cents. Some are paying 43 to 48, and some are paying 52. I know a couple of companies are paying 62. They just went up, but the miles still aren't there. You're only getting 2,500 miles. So what are you going to make? $1,500 a week, which isn't bad, but it's nowadays that in Florida, that doesn't pay for the groceries anymore.
And we're like one of the cheap states.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're telling me I'm in Chicago, man. You don't talk about prices.
So you look at the cost, and then on top of you take all this cost, but then you look at the mental aspect of it, of being alone and away from your wife, away from the family, away from everything. Who the hell would want to do this anymore? Really, you think about it. Who's going to do it? But we're the backbone of the economy.
100%.
But yet we're the most regulated, and we're probably the most underpaid right now. Granted, COVID, everything reversed after COVID. Yeah. So I get it, and it's starting to come around. The rates are going up again, and this and that, and it's just a vicious cycle on both sides. But I just can't understand how these guys can drive like that, but I can. I think it's money driven, to answer your question, Paul.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, you see it in Scott and what we do. You see people, lie, cheat, steal to get a deal done, and then
they're calling us a year later.
Yep, calling it. Yeah, yeah. But there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things, and you can't just put it all on the money. I mean, I'd like to think that if you do all the things right in the right order, the right way, a respectful way, typically the money tends to come if you do that. In most places. But it sounds like you're kind of at a disadvantage when that many people are kind of, pushing the limits of what you're supposed to do. It puts the folks that are doing it the right way, puts them in a bad spot. I mean, it sounds like that's what you're saying.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly what I'm saying. Because of the fact that, money drives everything. Period. Money drives everything.
John, what's your thought? I've heard this thrown around a bit. Of course, this wouldn't work for owner ops or lease purchase, but for company drivers, what are your thoughts on if they just started paying them a salary?
I know there's a couple companies out there that are doing that now. I don't know if there's enough research on it yet, because I know they're talking about us and all the overtime and this, that, and everything. I don't know. The jury's still out on me on that one. I don't know how to answer that right now because of the fact that, it's been by mile. It will probably always be by the mile. And I don't see the FMCSA or Labor Board changing that for us because they want us to have 40 hours. Well, trucking ain't 40 hours. Trucking's 24/7.
Yeah.
So I don't see how that's gonna work out. I'd like to see a couple more years of it with more companies doing it, but I only know of 2 companies doing it right now, and I don't associate with them, so I don't know how to answer that question.
Yeah, because Scott, he brings up a good point because it's kind of like there can be a trap to the hourly, or there's a trap to the salary where you paid for a 40-hour work week. And John, you brought up a really good point.
60.
If you're always working 70, 80, 100, 120, you're not. You know what I mean? At that point, you're not really. It's a loss.
Well, you got to remember, we're only allowed to go 14 a day, 70 a week.
10 out, yeah.
We're only allowed to drive 11, go 14, and go 70 a week. Whether it's a 7 or I'm on an 8-day schedule. So we only can do 70. So you're still looking at 30 hours of OT. But the problem is a lot of that time is wasted at shipping and receiving because we're just sitting there waiting because we can't get unloaded. Oh yeah, that's a whole different beast in itself.
Enter conduit. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
John,
so John, what? Oh, go ahead, Paul.
I was going to say, John. Yeah, that's working on a dock and yard management software. That's one of the things we try to figure out over at Conduit is how do you make it so that a driver shows up and gets unloaded when they show up, instead of the extreme of that being there's some shippers and receivers out there that I want you here at 10:15, you better be here exactly at 10:15, not 10:16 or 10:14, right? And then you're penalized for it, and then by the way, here's a lumper fee, right? As opposed to
that's a whole nother beast in itself with the lumper fees too. So,
but how do you make it so that a driver shows up? A
lot of it is scheduling.
Supposed to go, yeah.
A lot of it's scheduling. Like with me, I pride myself on being early all the time. I pre-trip, I check the weather, I check road conditions, I map it out 5 different ways in case I run in, because you're always going to run into something, especially when you get into Tennessee and the mountains and this and that. You're always going to run into something. So, especially Crashville. We don't call it Nashville anymore; it's Crashville. There hasn't been, it's been brutal the last year.
It's a lot of people because of the weather, just people, the congestion.
Idiots.
What's going on there?
Idiots.
Morons.
People passing on the right. I'll say it that way.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But anyways, no, Paul, to answer your question, good luck with that, because I don't know if there's a way to fix that, because you're dealing with, let's just face it, a lot of the younger guys are working now in the warehouses.
Yeah.
Gen Z, I guess. I don't know what they are now. Millennial, Gen Z.
We're not the damn kids anymore, John. We're not that.
Yeah, I know. Hey, I'm 56. I'm old.
I'm still a kid. I refuse.
Hey, I was running in the combat zones 2 years ago, so I'm still a kid at heart. I always will be.
There you go. Oh,
man. But no, it's I don't know how you fix it. I really don't, because I can show up at a Walmart DC.
Oh, okay.
2 hours, right when detention's supposed to start, they'll start unloading you, and then they'll make you sit there and wait 6 hours while they count it all. Or have McLean and Walmart are the worst right now. They use computers to count everything. Or I know McLean is. They're using a robotic arm, which is supposed to help, but it slows everything down even worse. Yeah. And then Walmart,
they have to double check it, right?
Yeah, they have to count it all. I get. If you could make the count easier, that would be great. That's where I would start, Paul.
Yeah, one thing, you got the robot. Easier. You got the robot, but the people probably have to double check it to make sure it's right.
Well, they got to break it all down and put it in so the robot can count it. What's the point?
Yeah.
You might as well count it.
And you do like a McCormick seasoning run, like I've done out of California. I brought it all the way over across country. I think it was 170,000 different seasonings in that truck. It took them 7.5 hours to count it. I finally went up to him. I said, either email me. Yeah. They had to count every single ingredient.
Yeah, break bulk.
Well, okay. Was this bulk or packaged?
Packaged, but it was packaged to the point where they had 5 different ingredients in one box.
Oh
no.
So it wasn't a finished good. It was.
It was a finished good, but it, like, they ordered, I don't know, oddball numbers of Italian seasoning and this, that, and whatever.
Oh, okay.
It was a reblend, Scott. It was a reblend.
Yeah. Oh, so if you could make counting easier, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
That's where the whole problem is. That's our delays.
The one that I think is the most interesting that we're working on right now. I'd be curious of what you think. And Scott, if I hijack it, I'm sorry. But one of the things we're working on is, you get there's this big push for like computers, or like somebody wants to, you either want a camera that's watching the trailer when it comes in, or you got somebody at the guard shack, right? And they want you to download an app, which is probably super annoying. So tell me what you think about this. Just interesting feedback. So we went a completely different route. We went with a QR code. If a driver wants to check in, you take a picture of a QR code, and instead of having to download an app, it's going to ask you 4 or 5 questions. Now, if you're in certain states where there's a lot of theft, one of our facilities might ask you for your driver's license front and back, right?
That's automatic now. No matter where you go, they're asking front back. They just want your license. So
yeah, and so you do all that on your phone from your cab, and then someone texts you and says, "Great, you're checked in. Go to Dock 2." And so it's just. You get to a point where you're texting with somebody inside the facility and making it so that if something goes wrong, or if you're confused, it's not like you have to get out of the truck, walk across the yard while trucks are going by. You just sit there and go, "Hey, I have a question. Can you help me with this? Can you send me a picture of this again? I'm worried about this paperwork might not be right." And instead of worrying about all that automation where it's like, here's this, here's that, you don't get to talk to anybody. We've opened that up, and for a lot of our customers, it's like really awesome because the driver doesn't have to get out and walk his driver's license in and get out and walk all this paperwork over. When he gets there, he goes right to the dock, backs up, chalks his tires, gets unloaded.
Yeah, it's great in some aspects of that, but in others, it's still not going to work all that good because you got to come in, you got to check in with security, you got to, like some of these loads I do. You got to go through security, and then you got to sit and wait for a dock to open.
Yep.
And that's the biggest problem, is waiting for the docks to open.
The dock assignment. Yeah.
The dock assignment. I mean, I've sat there a couple of weeks ago. I had a 6-hour wait just for a dock assignment.
You kidding?
No.
John, what was your craziest experience out of shipper or receiver?
Oh yeah, definitely want to hear that.
Like we're talking about it, might as well hear like what's like just most outrageous, like wild. You couldn't have made it up.
It would have to be with McLean. I brought a case of water. I brought a truckload of water with them, and I had been there. Yeah, bottles of water. Yeah, I'll say it the Boston way.
Love it.
And I had sat there I think I was there for like 4 or 5 hours. I've gone in like 3 times. I'm like, guys, I got another pickup,
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I forget where I was, but I had to get up to Chicago. I had a drop up in Illinois, actually, Ottawa.
Oh, Ottawa.
So
across the border.
Ottawa, Illinois.
Ottawa, Illinois.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Finally, and I paid my lumper's fee, and I sat there. I finally pulled the truck and blocked 7 docks and said, "You're giving me my paperwork now. I ain't fucking moving." Within 10 minutes, I had my paperwork and I was on the road. I literally had to.
So you were unloaded. You were unloaded.
I was unloaded, waiting on my bill of lading because they were counting the water with a robot. So they told me.
Friggin' robot.
And they said they had to count each bottle, but I was there like 4 hours, and I had enough. And I pulled out and I blocked. I whatever my 53 and my Peterbilt blocked, I blocked. And within 10 minutes, I had my bill of lading and I was rolling again. And I've never gone back.
You and the TQL guy must be buddies. The guy who went up to the TQL, just parked in their parking lot or whatever, demanding pay or something. For you guys must be related.
That was a few years ago, wasn't it,
I
Scott?
love it. No, they did it recently.
They just did it recently. Yeah, there's been several of those, but no, that would be my most wild one. Is me going to McLean and dropping at McLean and literally blocking docks to get my BOL.
Yeah,
That's crazy. It shouldn't be that hard to get a POD, man. Like you gotta get it. You gotta go. Like, why would they want you there longer than you were?
Because they can.
Yeah. That's fair. That's a fair point.
Because they can. You know, I mean, they don't give a shit about us.
Yeah,
you know, they care about counting the product, and they don't care how long it takes, and they don't realize we're on the other end, and we got to be somewhere else for another pickup. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and not counting our clock's running. Our 14-hour clock doesn't stop.
That's your money. That's literally your money. Yeah.
And if we're not rolling, we're not making money, and they're holding us up. And it's so if you could fix that, that would be awesome. Good luck to you on that one, though. I think you're going to need a team from NASA and MIT to figure that one out.
Yeah, well, we're a little SOL there because they got me and some really smart people, but it's me and some really smart people.
Okay.
We are separate.
But, separate entities, huh?
Yeah, separate entities. Guilty by association.
There
you go. But no, that's interesting to hear. I mean, it bums me out when I hear that people, that drivers getting treated that way. Because, I mean, that's one of the reasons we started this was, we both sat in brokerage, at brokerages for a while, and like, you have kind of unless you're in a cradle to grave, you talk to a dispatcher maybe, right? But like, you don't have a lot of experience. And then social media, you see, right? Like that it's a whole nother world that folks like yourself are living in. And you don't, people don't really know what you guys go through, guys and gals, of course, but no one has any idea when you see a truck going down the road, and I mean, the one that really blows my mind is some of these drayage guys now where it's like, what are you doing? I'm going back and forth to the Port of Oakland for, and I'm waiting, and they get paid to idle. And you're like, what do you, and that's not a shot at the Port of Oakland. I'm just using an example, but like,
right. Any port is like that right now.
It's like you think about, like, you're talking about spending your hours. It's like, how much are you getting paid if you're sitting in your truck idling? Not as much as you would if you were rolling. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, I mean, I think that goes back to your point earlier about how expensive it is. It sounds like, that's another big thing is, if you've got all those expenses, you said what, like $1,700 a week, and now you're waiting for 4 or 5 hours at a receiver or shipper to get. I mean, where's your money?
Being blown on fuel while you were sitting there idling. Whether it's on an APU or an engine. And the cost just keeps going down, and the longer you're there, it averages out to being, like my wife figured out one time, I made on one run, if you broke it down by hour, I would make more at McDonald's than I did on that run because I waited so long. And that's the only way to say it.
Now, I guess the question is then, as it sounds like you operate as an owner op.
Yep.
So I've always had this theory that there's kind of a screw you tax when a driver's been to a facility that takes that many hours to unload, and then someone says, hey, you want to go back? I feel like my nature would tell me, as a, common sense would say, if I have to go back to that facility, they're going to make me wait. I'm going to tack on extra money.
Oh, yeah, you are. You're going to tack it because you already know what you're in for. You got to tack it to cover your expenses. And a lot of the brokers don't understand that. They think, and no disrespect to brokers, I personally don't care for them. But I mean, I don't, no disrespect to them. Yeah, I think
it's fine.
They're just a middleman where they do meet a purpose, but they don't meet the purpose that they should be there for.
Yeah.
And that's probably a training and, like, the same as the guy driving 90 in the left lane, trying to just make as much money as he can. Right. I know that I had moments as a broker where I made moves that because I wasn't as educated as I should have been.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand what I was doing. Right. And I learned and I stopped doing those things only a couple times. But I think it comes from the same thing you were talking about earlier, John, with the money driven piece.
Yeah.
They're thinking I got to pay
money driven.
Kid, whatever.
Yeah. So, John, if I could beg to that point. So you're saying, hey, I go to shipper A, and I know that they're going to take 5 hours to unload, and they're going to count every single thing in here. So I'm going to tack an extra $500 on, right? How much of that do you think ends up affecting the shipper's budget at the end of the day? Because now all the trucks that want to come to them, if they got to go through a broker, the broker's going to go to somebody, and eventually I imagine truckers talk to each other. I imagine if everybody, I bet, you wouldn't even have to say anything. There's probably a collective consciousness. And I bet off the top of your head, you could name 3 brands that you would never go to because of that experience.
Oh, I can name more than 3, but yeah.
And so my brain goes to at the end of the day, if they're sitting there going, I can't get freight for this. And it's like, well, how much of that's their product? They're not treating you guys right downstream. So they're paying the price for making you sit.
But the problem is they'll always have somebody. They can always call the next guy, and the next guy will do it for cheaper.
Well, so an experienced guy that's going to run, doesn't know to not say yes to everything, as
correct.
Yes, said.
Yeah, and they'll go to the next guy. If my bid is whatever, say the run's 12, I go in at 17 because of that. Now they're going to go to the next guy, and he'll probably offer 11, so the broker makes more. Yeah. A lot of it doesn't hurt the shipper's pocket. It's hurting the broker's pocket because the shipper will pay so much, but then the broker needs his commission out of it, whatever it might be, whether it's 5, 12, 30, whatever they take. And then whatever's left in the pot goes to the driver, which I think is wrong because we're the one we're taking 90% of the responsibility. We're the ones hauling the 80,000 pounds worth of vehicle and equipment and produce. We're the ones paying all the insurance. We're the ones paying all the gas. Look at our bills. Just to go out the door of our house to get in the truck. It's $2,000 for the week, say. Just we got to cover that before we can even pay our own bills at home. Say 17. So yeah, it's all money driven and it's sad. But that's how it's been for a long time.
And then we haven't even gotten to the parking side of things yet.
Oh, Jesus.
You talked about safe parking, good parking.
Good luck.
You mentioned one. Yeah. Has that always been an issue? Is that more of a recent thing? Because we do hear it, but obviously
I really didn't.
Industry forever.
I would say in the last 3-4 years, it's become a real big issue because you have more drivers on the road. The driver shortage thing is bullshit. I'll just say it like that.
We've learned, yeah.
That is bullshit. What the driver shortage is quality drivers, not quantity of drivers. It's quality of drivers.
Yeah.
Okay. So the driver thing that these carriers are throwing out there is total bullshit. Second, there are so many drivers out there that I have pulled into several places with 200, 300, 400 spots of parking, and there's 600 trucks in there.
What?
Literally.
How does that?
They're all they're parked behind each other. They're parked in fire lanes. They parked
talk
in the
when
street.
do you out? When do you leave? When do I leave? Sort of thing.
Yeah. They're parked everywhere, wherever they can, and then on top of it, they're making it hard to get fuel. They're making it hard to get in and out. They're causing more traffic because they're 3-4 wide in a fire lane. So yeah, that's a whole different ball game that I don't know how that's going to be tackled, but good luck to that one too, because there's 3 major issues in trucking. One is safety because of the idiots out there. 2 is parking, and 3, we're overregulated as it is now, and they're going to overregulate us more, especially with this automated stuff coming out.
Yeah, I don't think
with Tesla and everything else.
I don't think there's much legs to that, and I could be the guy 10 years from now like, oh, that's stupid, but it seems especially now, it's way too expensive, in my opinion, to have anything automated. And I personally don't think, and it's funny, I'm just seeing people, it's like, oh, this isn't going to work. And the internet's not a thing, and now it's everything, right? Yeah. But I do truly think that, there's certain things you don't replace people on, and I think driving's one of them. And I don't think it's a bias of having worked in here and having a soft spot for drivers. In general, I just don't see the benefit. Other than it can drive forever. Well, no, it's got to charge. But
yeah. Well, the liability.
Yeah, it's not like the liability, but then it's not an iRobot. It's not like the iRobot vacuums that know how to go back to its home base. It's not an easy program.
No, it's very complicated. Yeah, and I know some of it's worked and they've done some. I don't know. I just don't know. Use it for
I think
military.
it makes a lot of sense for drayage. I think it makes a lot of sense for a port to a decon facility, a deconsolidation or consolidation facility, or cross dock that's like, 20 miles away. I think that makes
simple, straightforward,
sense. Back and forth. That makes total sense. Give them their own lane. But when you're like
Right.
over the road and you're talking,
no, you can't do it.
I mean, it makes more sense to have trains automated in my brain. But you know what?
Why aren't trains automated? Yeah.
Well, I mean, you still gotta have a driver, right? But like,
right.
Yeah. But like, my point being is like, if you want it to like, it's. I know that we sound like, oh well, it'll never happen. I'm sure it will eventually, but
yeah.
Well, look at the port docks. Not to interrupt you, but look at the port dock guys. They're all these people want to, and China's all automated with their ports and stuff, and it works great. The problem is, you're trying to save jobs, this, that, but automation is going to come in eventually. We're going to lose out. It's going to happen. It's already happening. It's been happening with the port trucks and some of the car factories and this, that, and in some of the lithium battery places where humans shouldn't be. They're using robots, and that's great. But look at the ports. Look at what they're fighting now for.
Yeah.
To keep it out, and they're not going to keep it out.
No.
They're not going to keep it.
It's also safety too, because then the other thing is like, you're talking about a big piece in trucking. Like, I'd like to see artificial intelligence notice something before your brain can. Now, wouldn't that be nice? Oh, hey, it's slick up there and you're about to brake. I don't want you to, you know what I mean? Like, that'd be neat. But when you talk about, replacing and things like that, I mean, I'm more interested in seeing how it can help. Like, I'd love to see a way that, AI looks at someone like yourself, right? You're using some kind of tool or Copilot and saying, hey, what's my best route to get here? And it's smart enough to give you an actual, valid route and 3 or 4 other, backup routes from point A to point B. And I could see that being really interesting. But there's a lot of change is, I think, really the biggest piece here is that there's a lot of change. And I guess I wonder, we've talked on some things, and I think by nature, I think all of us are a little, we tend to be negative when we talk about change. But John, is there anything you look at and you're like, this is going to be good? Is there anything you've got
right now? No.
Getting back into trucking, it's a disaster.
Yeah. No.
You heard it here first.
No.
Everything's going to hell.
Yeah. Well, not really. I mean, you look at it and it's like, okay, you got to go to from point A to point B. I don't see. It's like what the military is trying to do with AI in these jets. You don't have that knowledge. Yeah, you can teach it, but it takes years, just like a human brain. It just, I don't see it happening for at least another 10, 15 years. And I hope Tesla does not develop the self-driving like they're working on, because I think it's just going to kill more people than it's going to help.
You talking about the trucks or just all across the board?
The trucks. I don't care about the cars. The cars, I see people driving now on the hands-free stuff, and that's fine.
I don't love it. My girl,
But
I
trucks,
think the city. Everybody stops, everybody goes. Everybody stops, everybody goes. The highway stuff freaks me out too, Scott.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it on the highways, just because you have.
That's the easier way to do it.
I mean,
if you think about it, because you got lights, you got to turn. People change lanes a lot. Like, a highway is more straight. So, like, my girlfriend had a free trial. Emily, she had a free trial on her Tesla to do the self-driving stuff, and we did it a couple times. It's newer, right? It's kind of like beta or whatever. But it's not smooth, and it sketched me. I mean, I don't know. I'm against. Honestly, if I could get rid of smartphones, I would. So I'm the wrong guy to ask. For 33, I'm like 65, but it's just like, I've seen too many. Like, we've seen this movie. It was made. Arnold's in it. Like,
yeah, I know. I kind of, yeah.
iRobot. Will Smith made it again. Like,
right. I mean, eventually it's going to get to there. Everybody said by now would be like the Jetsons.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
exactly. Flying cars and stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't see, Paul, to answer your question. No.
I don't know, man.
Good.
I can get McDonald's to my door in 15 minutes. So.
Oh, that ain't bad. If I could just get Walmart to deliver to my truck at a Love's, that would be great.
Hey, there you go.
You can do like location. like you can have like Domino's delivered to a park now. Like you can do it by location.
You
So
just
yeah,
standing there with your
that's
phone
far
looking
off.
around for a guy going, "Are you
like
my
an
order?"
Uber? You're like, hey,
yeah,
I'm just gonna start being like, yeah, that's me. Just give me the pizza.
Oh man.
yeah, really, yeah. I mean,
Oh.
anybody can walk up. Yeah, that's my pizza. Hey, thanks.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some code or whatever, but like it's
Yeah.
man, too funny.
So John, what would you say to younger folks that, let's say,
Paul loves this
hypothetically,
one.
because I know where you're going. I know where you'll go with this from our conversation. Let's say, look, because I'll say this: I think there's some of our generation and younger that are solid workers, good people.
Yes.
And
Some.
what would you? Well, yeah, exactly. What would you say to those folks? Those some, right, that are maybe they're looking at getting into something like this. Maybe they want to be a company driver. Maybe they just want to drive in general and be in trucking.
Don't.
Is there anything
right
you'd say
Don't.
not right now?
Don't right
No.
now. What has
Not
to
right
change
now.
them to get back into it?
Yeah, what would have to change for you to say, yeah, that's not a bad time?
More consistency in the pricing. The pricing needs to come up per mile.
Okay.
And the cost of the equipment and everything, we all know, needs to go down, and it's not.
More people need to get out of the market too.
Well, not really, because with the FMCSA getting rid of those 200,000 on the SAP program, I think 20 are gone already. It's tightening things up a little bit. The alcohol, I forget the actual term for SAP.
Look it up.
Yeah, but it's drug and alcohol violations.
Oh, interesting. It's the new DAT, substance abuse professional program.
Substance abuse. Yeah. Substance abuse.
Interesting.
So, and I guess on a couple of weeks ago, they started kicking people off the road, which they should, because they haven't done their thing.
Right.
And I think 20,000 have gone already. So I haven't noticed the difference. But there's like 200,000 that could go, and some of them are not going to come back. So I know we'll have
which
some
is good
cuts
for
there,
everybody. Yeah,
that's a good, because I mean, you think about supply and demand. I mean, if there's less trucks, by nature, it costs.
Well, you got to but you got to look at the carriers, these big carriers, Knight, Swift,
the big guys.
They go by volume. The more volume, the more money.
Right, because they're that size.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
More volume, more money. So and then you got the owner operators. This country was cut with owner operators, not these big companies.
Right.
And I still feel these big companies are trying to get rid of the owner ops and these small carriers, but they all have a niche.
Yeah.
That needs to be
Can't
filled.
Move it all.
Yeah.
But they want to.
Yeah. Which is interesting, John, because I remember hearing that like the market penetration that like a JB Hunt or a Knight Swift had was still only in the single digit percentages of the whole pie.
Well, if you look at
no,
like 3%.
It's come up. I think
Really?
JB Hunt. Well, Snyder just bought some Carwood out, so I think the last number I saw, JB Hunt was like 11% of all freight.
Wow.
I don't know. You can look it up.
It's actually more than that. So I have it.
What is it now?
Right here. As of Q3 of 24, which is the last big, last reporting of this, the market share of JB Hunt was 21.49. So I was incorrect. And the market share
domestic over the road.
That's all freight.
Relative to their competitors, yeah. And Knight Swift held 13.12, and there's 11 more rows. This is it, and this is from the CSI market. I'm not sure.
So add that all up. You add all those numbers up out of those top 10. You're looking at 70% of the freight.
Wow.
Maybe 70. I'm going to say. I mean, I'm just.
I may have misspoke. That might have been. This might have been stock instead. I'm gonna look up again here. I've made a mistake.
That's all right.
That wouldn't
hold you to it.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we will, Scott. Because he's holding us from the Bruins
here game. Here it is. So
the
largest market share is JB Hunt holds 5.2 of the total industry's revenue.
5.2 of the revenue. Okay.
There it is. So I was looking at that was what was showing me before was actually stock. There's what
5.2 revenue, 5. You probably close to the same percentage of freight.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
no, just more because the margin's smaller when you have that much volume, right?
Hey Scott, I'm going to give you an update on the Bruins.
What? They're up 3, and it's because I'm not watching. Every time I go watch them in person lately, they've been getting their asses kicked.
Yeah.
And whenever I watch, if I'm like on my phone, they score. If I look, they're not. They don't know.
Yeah.
And dude, see, it's like, and it's what like 10 minutes into the second period right now. I mean, 2 minutes into the second.
No, it's 17:09 left in the second.
Oh God. Well,
so
we don't want to keep
time.
You longer. Yeah, we don't want to keep you too much longer from that. And actually, we didn't even get into the abroad stuff. So we're gonna have to bring you back. We'll talk. I feel like we scratched the surface on some things, but like we gotta get deep on some stuff, especially the
search and rescue.
Search and rescue.
Yeah.
A lot of cross the pond stuff.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, John, I mean, we'd love to have you back. I think if you'd be willing to, if you can put up with us. Mainly me, if you can put up with me. It sounds like you and Scott get on well. But what I'd say is we'd love to have you back. And I mean, you sound like somebody, one of the ideas I've had here is, getting a couple of different folks in the space on like a panel and asking questions across the board and saying, get some opinions and some debate going around, what do you guys see from a trucking standpoint? Because I think a lot of the talking heads, right, are from the brokerage side. They're from the software side or the technology side. I'm more interested in hearing from y'all. And I mean, to sum it up, it sounds like you think, man, it's in a tough spot and it might not get better. I'd like to talk to you in a couple of months and you say, we're doing great, right? But
right. No, it's going to get better. I truly believe it will get better, but it's going to take time. And, I just don't see it happening in the next first or second quarter of this year. Maybe third.
I'd agree.
Definitely.
I'd agree for sure.
I mean, where I'm going to now, my rates are going up and they're going, up very well, to be honest with you. But I don't see really, I don't think we'll ever get back to the COVID days, but I'd like to get back to the 354, $5 a mile mark where everybody's making money.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
It would be nice, but I don't see it happening until at least maybe third quarter of this year, fourth quarter,
maybe. So what do you think produce season, or not produce season, but you think you get it? Well, maybe towards the end of the year, you get the.
Well, I'm going in. Yeah, I'm going up to where reefers are very slim right now, so the rates are up.
There you go.
Yeah, no, we won't say them. But no, Idaho, Nebraska, the whole area, they're having problems with all the, they can't get enough reefers up there. So that's where I'm going to head up and run for a while. I don't know what the deal is. I honestly don't know. I just know there's a reefer shortage up there. So I'll go up there and run. I know, might as well. Got to go where the money is,
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. Get out of the wife's hair for a minute, right? She'll miss. She says she misses you, but no, so yeah, I think next time we talk some more about the search and rescue, we get into some more about the family stuff and being away. I think we dig a little bit more next time. The folks know about you a little bit now, so now next time we dig. So, I mean, John, hey man, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
And to our listeners, we really appreciate your support and for tuning in. If you made it this far, please be sure to check us out every other Tuesday. Someday we'll be weekly, but for now, every other Tuesday at What's Domiciled on YouTube, Spotify for full episodes, Instagram for Reels. I know I've been slacking. We talked about that earlier. I'm not going to rehash it. Instagram for the Reels. I'll also be putting Reels and Shorts on YouTube. That's going to be starting. Now I've said it. It's recorded. I got to do it. So please like, comment, subscribe, and have a great day.
Awesome.